Welcome everyone to the new Fly Fisher. I'm your host, Bill Spicer. On this week's show, we're fishing the waters around the Niagara Peninsula in southern Ontario. I'm joined by Jamie Lang of Lang Sport Fishing, and we're going after smallmouth bass. It's going to be a comparative show this week because Jamie's going to be spin fishing and I'm going to be fly fishing. We'll compare the baits that he uses over the flies that I use. It's going to be a great one, folks. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
The new Fly Fisher has been made possible thanks to the support of GoFishinOntario.com, Orvis Sporting Traditions, Scientific Anglers, Able Reels, Ross Reels, Superfly, fly fishing for everyone.
If you love catching big bass, then Ontario's the place you want to go. Best of all, there's no problem finding a place to fish without crowds. Whether on a lake or a river, there's lots of quality bass fishing. This week we travel to the Niagara Peninsula and Lake Erie. The lake has an abundance of shallow water flats that are very accessible. We then move only a few miles east to the Niagara River, which borders New York State and Ontario. This river has the largest water volume of any river in North America. Huge currents and side seams with boulders and weed beds create incredible habitat for bass and their forage. Joining me today is professional bass angler Jamie Lang of Lang Sport Fishing and Guide Service. Jamie has fished these waters extensively, and with his assistance, I know I'll have a successful trip. As the wind was high in the first morning, we chose to fish the Niagara River first. Our strategy was to allow the wind to drift the boat over weed beds. This is a very effective way of covering a large section of water in a very short time. Jamie would move the boat to the top of the weed bed and cut the main engine. He would then control the drift with the electric motor. I would fan cast as the boat moved. Fan casting is simply casting to the right first, and then every 6 to 8 feet to the left, make your next cast. I would do this till I got close to 180 degrees, and then I would repeat.
Caught up in the weeds, I think. Oh no. Oh, good fish. All right. We've had to find some water that was fishable today. With the wind up so high, as you can see, it's blowing pretty good. We're on the Niagara River, and we actually got whitecaps on the river. So, we've come out and we're drifting over some weed beds. Slammed, it hit very, very hard. I'm surprised at how hard it did hit. Strong fish. I got a full sinking line. We're in about 12 feet of water, and I want to get it down near where the weeds are. Now, it's on Scotty's McFly, and I'll show that later on with the fly selection. People that have watched the show regular will know I fish this a lot for smallmouth. It's a emerald shiner imitation. Boy, oh boy, what a fight, what a fight. And here we go, and now I thought he was much larger than he is, but there we go. Now.
That's the river, right?
That's the river I'm fighting, yep. Now, that's what I call a decent fish. Good start. Average fish, I would think, here on the Niagara, but that's outstanding. I'm gonna release them, and I'll show you the fly that I'm using. This is called a Scotty's McFly. It's mostly marabou, and it's weighted. It's got a bullet head, but it's also weighted on the shaft with some lead. So this thing will sink like a stone. And it was invented by a friend of mine, Scotty, who's a Scotsman. So that's why we nicknamed it Scotty's McFly. And it's an outstanding smallmouth fly.
The three main forage you're going to find on Lake Erie are minnows, crayfish, and gobies. With the crayfish, the colors, you're going to find a lot of oranges, browns, some blue hues, and some grays as well. In minnows, they're emerald shiners, most predominant. A lot of silver, a lot of flash, things like that, in the 3 to 5 inch range. And if you're fishing deep, goby is going to be your main forage, and they're in the dark colors, your green pumpkins, your blacks, a little bit of purple. Purple is always a good color on Lake Erie.
Jamie has had extensive experience on this stretch of the river, so my tactic was to imitate any lure that he used. I would choose as close a match of fly that I could find. His go-to lure was a suspending jerkbait minnow, so my choice was to use a deceiver minnow pattern and try to match how big his lure was. I also used an emerald shiner imitation called Scotty's McFly. His second choice was a slow presentation called drop shotting, which is weighting down a plastic leech imitation in either black or olive and slowly retrieving. My imitation of this was a black woolly bugger dragged slowly across the bottom. One technique that crosses over from spin fishing to fly fishing is to impart extra action on the lure or fly. Jamie is adding a jerking motion as he retrieves his minnow lure. I do the same with a fly rod. As I strip the line in, I add extra action by jerking the tip of the rod. This makes my offering look wounded. Bass are opportunists and will eat the wounded minnows first.
There's fish.
Oh, that's all right. Decent fish, too.
They just hammer them out here. What's your average? There he goes. I'm fishing a jerkbait. And it's a reaction. So they hit it hard when they hit it. Bass season in Ontario is open from the 4th Saturday in June until December 15th on Lake Erie. It closes November 30th in the rest of Ontario, but we get to enjoy an extended season on Lake Erie.
When visiting the Niagara Peninsula, it need not be expensive. I've booked myself a very nice and comfortable room at the Clarion Hotel and Conference Center. This hotel is in Fort Erie, Ontario, and is about a mile from the US and Canada border. The next morning we had hoped to get out on Lake Erie, but Mother Nature had other plans. The wind had picked up quite a bit and made conditions unfishable. We decided to go back to the Niagara River. That's the great thing about the Niagara Peninsula. There's always somewhere else to fish within a short drive.
All right, just got one on the jerkbait, run the weed line, and he hammered it.
Looks good. Looks good. Another good smallie.
Yeah. It's like another average size, at 2.5, 3 pound range.
Now we're in dirty water, so you've changed up your presentation. You've slowed down a lot?
I've slowed down, yeah. I'm letting it pause a lot longer. My jerks are still pretty erratic, but I do let it sit longer than I would in clearer
So that's good
water.
advice in any kind of dirty water, to slow down your presentation.
Yep. And he just swiped at it. Okay, now we'll let this guy go back and get bigger.
The previous day we were working the weed lines and were able to spot a few fish. But today the action was very slow there, so we moved to a land point. This consisted of large boulders narrowing down to a point under the water with a large drop-off. We positioned the boat over the large boulders and were working the deep drop-off. I was using a traditional down and across method of presenting a fly. I cast across and allowed the fly to sink, and then allowed the current to swing the fly near the bottom of the river.
Fish on. Fish on. Oh, yeah. Been a long time. Oh, good fight. Good fight. staying down. I had a lot of line out, so I gotta spin it back up, get it on my reel. And get away from the motor. I'm on an intermediate line. We're in about 8 or 9 feet of water. It's not a real big fish. 8 or 9 feet of water, and with a deceiver minnow pattern. It's not bad.
Fish on.
And we got a double header here. Looks like the bite's on. There we go. That's the deceiver pattern that I used. Little minnow pattern. Not overly large. But I'll let that go and we can spin the camera around. Put it on Jamie, who has the fish on.
Digging down pretty good. It feels like a little better fish.
That's a little bit better fish?
A little bit better, yeah.
Might be a Kodak moment?
No, not really. The river, the fish in the river deceive you.
Yes, you're fighting current a lot, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's only
No,
about
that's
the same
just-
size as mine. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a baby. Little baby. The structure we're looking for when looking for smallmouth bass, whether it be a river or a lake, is rocks, humps, shoals, weed lines, any kind of transitions from sand to gravel or gravel to weed, or rock to sand, anything like that will hold them.
On the Niagara River, you can find most any structure, but the very best structure to find fish in this river is drop-offs. Drop-offs are where you have a sudden, drastic depth change. Why are these the best? Because bass can hold in the deep water where they feel safe and ambush bait as it moves from the shallows over the deep.
There's a fish. He's under the boat.
Yes, he just rose on this side of the boat.
The currents, they take
Yeah.
the bait all over the place. There he comes.
Well, that's a good fish. That's a nice fish.
A lot better. So they're just lightly taking this drop shot. I'm just letting it sit,
Yeah.
and they're just picking it up. Swim, get bigger. Next time.
Rods and reels I would recommend for bass are generally 9-foot number 6 weight rods of medium action. The reel I always recommend is one with a drag system, as bass, pound for pound, are one of the hardest fighting fish in fresh water. Large arbor spools are preferable, but not necessary. When coming to the Niagara Peninsula, there are 3 essential setups. The first is when using poppers. It's a bass tapered floating line to a 9-foot tapered leader to a 3X tippet and then the popper. Bass tapers are designed to cast larger flies that are more wind resistant. The next setup was for suspended fish. It was a clear intermediate sinking line to a 4-foot section of 12-pound monofilament and then the streamer. The third setup is when the fish are deep, and it was a Type 3 full sinking line to a 4-foot section of 12-pound monofilament and then the streamer.
Fish on. Jamie's got
Fish
one on
on.
too.
Another double.
All right. Well, the bite is picking up. The bite is picking up, but taking very, very softly. Whoa, boy, that's a good fish too. That's a good fish. Don't quite want them to jump because generally they throw the hook then, especially if you're barbless like I am. Oh, excellent, Jamie, excellent.
Yeah. Good fish.
And I'm still fighting mine here.
Let him go.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I had a lot of line. Casting long distance, had a lot of line on the floor. And here we go. This is a nice fish. That's a little better. Yeah, I'd appreciate that because he is.
The net for, yeah.
I am on a barbless hook.
Oh.
I'll bring him around again. This is a decent fish. Really thick. Good man. Now, let me change hands here. Well, that's a decent fish. It's a decent fish, and we got him on the deceiver again. But it's a good fish. Okay, excellent, excellent. Decent fish. They fight hard in this river here. They're solid muscle. There we go. They are solid muscle. All they do all day is fight current, so that makes them very strong. Even the smaller fish, the current they use to their best advantage, and you get a wonderful fight out of them. Oh, I'm gonna try that again.
The day's end was nearing, and the rare magic hour happened. If you're lucky, you'll experience one of these. It's when the bass chase minnows out of the weeds and ball them up near the surface. They then start ripping through the bait ball, trying to eat and injure as many minnows as possible. They then return and eat the wounded. You know this is about to happen when the birds start diving in the water and eating the wounded minnows.
Just got a massive bang. Fish on, fish on. That came back at it twice on me. We got the birds working here. There's balls of bait all around us. This is outstanding. Oh, and he's taking some line. Yes, sir. Outstanding. There we go. Oh, no, oh, what a leap. It's a good fish, too. It's a good fish. Try not to let him leap. Now I got a full sinking line on. How many feet would it be out there? About 12 feet, Jamie?
About that, yeah.
Yeah. So I let it sink 4 or 5 seconds and then started bringing it in. And he hit it once hard and then turned around and hit it again.
Yeah.
Now I'm just trying to keep him low. I don't want him to jump. So I got my rod tip low, keeping a bend in the rod. Ha ha. He's not overly big, but look at how dark he is. My goodness. These Niagara River fish are dark, aren't they?
Sometimes, yeah.
But look at that. Look, he's taking line. They're just nothing but muscle. Nothing but muscle. He's getting close, Jamie.
Okay, I've got the net.
He'll be coming up soon. He's staying down. Oh, yeah. Look at how clear the water is today. Now, yesterday it was quite murky. Oh, I'll bring his head up.
Yep.
I don't want to horse him too much. I don't want to break the line.
Yep.
Very good.
There you go.
Oh, that's a really, really nice fish.
Great fish, Bill.
Wow-wee. Now, Scotty's McFly does it again. Now, that's right up to the middle of my arm. We're at 17, 18 inches of fish. Very nice, very nice. We got some active fish out here.
Yep.
I'll let this guy go. We have some active fish out in the deeper water. We were fishing shallower water earlier. Now we see the bait busting, the birds are moving, and we got big fish all around us. What we got here, as you can see, we got terns, and they're diving down. The fish have the bait all balled up, and the terns are telling us where it is. We're just following over, and I'm gonna try to cast as close as I can to where they're diving. Fish on, okay. Woo! Mega cast. Clouser minnows. And aggressive stripping in. The wind blows it completely under your feet. Let me get her on. Okay, we're on the reel. Oh, good. Good man. Yeah. Big, big head shakes. Really putting this 6-weight to work. All right. We'll get this in as soon as we can. Boy, he's not letting me get him up to the top, that's for sure. Oh. Just about there, Jamie. Just about there.
Okay. Another dark one.
It's a dark one, yeah. They're really dark in this river. Wait a minute, I'll get him towards you. I'll bring him towards you. Don't chase him. I'll bring him towards you. Man. Here we go. Yes, sir. Oh, wow. Clouser minnows. Aggressive stripping in. It's a nice bronze back here. Not overly big, but they are all muscle. They're living their entire life in current, so they're nothing but muscle. But that's a very fine example of a Niagara River smallmouth. We were hoping to stay out on the lake. Mother Nature was against us in this trip, so we have an alternative, which is a Niagara River, which fishes very well. Even in bad conditions, we took fish. It's been hard, but we took fish. If you want a good guide in a great bass boat, I highly recommend Jamie Lang. Give him a call. For more information on today's show and other shows in our series, visit us on the web at thenewflyfisher.com. From all of us here at The New Fly Fisher, thanks for joining us. Tight lines, and we'll see you next time.
The New Fly Fisher has been made possible thanks to the support of GoFishinOntario.com, Orvis Sporting Traditions, Scientific Anglers, Able Reels, Ross Reels, Superfly, fly fishing for everyone.
To learn more about the New Fly Fisher, our locations, contests, news, and much more, come visit and like us on Facebook.